Just waking up in the morning, gotta thank God. I don't know, but today seems kinda odd. No barking from the dog, no smog. And Tristan cooked the breakfast with lots of hog.
What's cracking, crackers?
I thought of nobody better to join me on a rap stream than the second greatest rapper in the world and on the internet, Little AIDS, aka Tristan Haggard.
Lil A's returns. Thanks for having me on, man. I thought it was really apt. You know, I mean, you're obviously an industry rejected, failed rapper, so we can talk about, we can project all of our. I mean, because I'm a successful rapper and producer. We can talk about all the reasons why we were kept out of the industry, which is clearly because of the Illuminati. The Illuminati, as Katt Williams calls them.
Listen, there's a lot of people out here doing things and they don't know what's going on. 2024 is the year that everything comes to light, okay? For real.
We've been blackballed by the Illuminati. That's why Jay and I, we're still scraping it off in the underground here, scraping off of the refuse of the industry. Yeah. So yeah, in classic failed rapper status, we're coming to hate on the industry and just spread rumors, unsubstantiated rumors and gossip about no, I'm joking.
Yeah, since you didn't make it, I can understand that you would want to concoct the narrative of being a targeted individual and the MK Ultra mind control Illuminati controllers, handlers are after you to shut you down.
Yeah, I'm here with my targeted individual handler, Jay Dyer. he was actually put in my life. I was told by another one of my handlers that Jay was put here strictly to block my music industry career. So yeah, that's what we're here to do. Like Jay just rage quit again. Yeah.
I'm getting my rap props ready for the stream. So this was a necklace, but I'm getting my chain reset right now. I got to set
it recalibrated.
I'm getting it recalibrated.
They got to recalibrate the chain to fit his gains.
But I do have my cane. Yeah, correct. I come correct. My cane is still present, so we can work with what we got. Now, the reason we're doing this stream is, as you guys know, we've been covering a lot of hot hip-hop drama and comedy drama, entertainment drama, because lately a lot of information is coming out, which we already kind of knew. It's been speculated on for a long time in our sphere that the entertainment industry is blackmailed, sexpionaged, and so forth. And it turns out that Jeff Stein McEffery operations have their own little clones that operate in smaller scale. So we're going to be talking about a little bit of that today with certain famous figures who have been talked about for a long time. We'll start with this Busy Bone, I think, clip below, Bone Thugs and Harmony, where he said maybe 10, 12 years ago that there was a lot of dirt on a lot of the big players in the comedy, entertainment, rap world. And a lot of people had, well, Skittles information on a lot of people. We'll put it that way. And probably even worse. And so we'll be playing a couple videos, looking at some things. Tristan actually knows a good bit about this background as well. He's going to be talking about facts and things that he's seen with regard to Wu-Tang.
I'll be inventing facts.
Say what?
I'll just be making up facts. I'll just be making up and inventing facts to and gossip and slander.
Basically the technique there is to just equate whatever you assert with a fact.
Just like I've been like, it has been said that. It has been said. Because after that point, I will say something that's completely slanderous and made up. And at that point, that thing has been said. So that's, by the way, it has been said that Jay is my correct handler.
By the way, you're frozen. Are you on the right browser? We had this issue last time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see. Am I frozen on the stream?
I think you're frozen in fear, but it could also be frozen in terms of the screen. But
it's frozen. I'm ice cold frozen because my rhymes are so cold. Just be freezing.
No. See, this is why you're a rookie rapper. Anytime in a rap song when ice comes up, it's a reference to diamonds. Okay, it's not a reference to fear. Okay, you can't be a successful rapper rapping about your fear, dude. and that's why he left. He dropped off. So again, Fear, Fear got the best of him. Oh, he's back. Okay, good.
I'm back. Am I unfrozen now?
No, you're good now.
Cool.
You're good. Yeah, see, ice in rap songs is about diamonds, dude. It's not about fear. You can't rap about being frozen.
Ice. It's like ice cold. It's like my rhymes.
Oh, your heart. Your heart is ice cold.
Exactly, and that's like a cool thing in the rap world. You gotta have a cold heart.
Like Paula Abdul, cold heart is snake.
Exactly.
You do remind me of MC Scat Cat, though, if we're speaking of cartoon rappers. Remember her cartoon rapper?
MC Scat Cat?
Yeah, and you're very much a cartoon rapper as well. I can see that.
If by cartoon you mean like most talented. Most,
right, yeah, everybody was thinking cartoon meant most talented.
If that's what cartoon means. That's like an
that is what, okay.
Creative artistry rapper that throws out the most outstanding N-word flows. Like that's I guess that's what cartoon means. Yes, they do say that about me.
All right. Now props to Tristan because he hipped me to this first clip. Let's kick it off with again, this is about 2007-8, and Tristan reminded me that what was getting really popular at that time was one of the first posts on my old blog back in the day when I was doing an old conspiracy blog was a post about Kanye and Jay-Z and Beyonce talking about the Illuminati because, of course, Jay-Z wore the Crowley hoodie that said, "Do what thou wilt" on. Everybody then became more and more aware of, hey, wait, maybe the rappers do have some relationship to cults, Freemasonry, intelligence operations, and organized crime. So I'll play this brief clip here first that Tristan mentioned from Busy Bone. And he's talking about the meeting that everybody has talked about for many, many years. Alex Jones has talked about it. He talked about it this week. So here's Busy Bone discussing this meeting.
Invested millions into the building of privately owned prisons, and that our positions of influence in the music industry would actually impact the profitability of these investments. Then he says, I remember many of us in the group immediately looking at each other in awe and confusion. At the same time, I didn't know what a private prison was, but I wasn't the only one. Sure enough, someone asked what these prisons were and what any of this had to do with music. We were told that these prisons were built by privately owned companies who receive funding from the government based on the number of inmates. Mm-hmm. The more inmates, the more the government would pay these prisons. Mm-hmm. It was also made clear to us that since these prisons are privately owned, as they become publicly traded, we'd be able to buy shares. Most of us were taken back by this. Again, a couple of people asked what this had to do with us. At this point, my industry colleague who had first opened the meeting took the floor again and answered our questions. He told us that since our employees had become silent investors in this prison business, it was now in their interest to make sure that these prisons remain filled. Our job would be to help make this happen by making music which promotes criminal behavior, rap being the music of choice. He assured us that this would be a great situation for us because rap music was becoming an increasingly profitable market for our companies, and as employees, we also be able to buy stocks in these prisons. Immediately, silence came over the room. You could have heard a pin drop. I remember looking around to make sure I wasn't dreaming and saw half of the people with dropped jaws. My daze was interrupted when someone shouted, "Is this a fucking joke?" At this point, things became chaotic.
Right.
Two of the men who were part of the unfamiliar group grabbed the man who shouted and attempted to remove him from the house.
All right, so there's this famous rumored first meeting that we hear about, right, back in the 90s, and Alex thinks that this would be high-level MTV executives at the time, Sumner Redstone, people like that, involved in this meeting. There have been write-ups. For example, Business Insider back in 2012, famous or former music executive describes the meeting that resulted in today's violent rap music. And so there's been a lot of speculation and discussion of this. And recently we've had Ice Cube come forward to kind of confirm it. But Tristan, do you remember back in the 2007-8 era, 2010, when this first started popping off and people were getting really interested in the idea that maybe there is more going on in the rap industry that's something like Eyes Wide Shut-ish type stuff. Do you remember this back in 2006, 7, 8?
Sure. I mean, this was like one of the mid-2000s conspiracy I mean, this was big in like the mid 2000s, especially the Jay-Z Beyonce stuff. There was this whole genre, there's a whole subgenre of YouTube videos being made. This is the early years on YouTube, all about, you know, who's in the Illuminati. Remember like the synchro mysticism videos and stuff like that, where guys would just autistically and obsessively go through all sorts of weird pop culture stuff and mash them together to kind of show all the occult and esoteric symbolism that's going on in it. A lot of that stuff, it's funny, at that time when they were pushing a lot of this Masonic imagery in the music videos, the Kanye videos, the Jay-Z videos, all this stuff was tons of this imagery, and they kind of helped to build a lot of the conspiracy candy culture that we kind of call it that, the conspiracy candy, because a lot of this stuff is, you know, you can make loose connections with a lot of these things, and yes, there's tons of esoteric symbolism in all these music videos. But there was a whole subgenre of blogs and stuff like Vigilant Citizen that kind of rose up around just,
Yeah, I was there. I did it before Vigilant Citizen. Vigilant Citizen based what they did on what I do. So I'm doing I'm doing the rap drama right now about the conspiracy blog world. Do you see what I did there? You see what I did?
better level.
Listen. I was in this industry doing this way before there was a Vigilant Citizen, okay? And then it came on the scene.
2006, when they had Jay Dyer and Vigilant Citizen in a meeting, and they decided that one of them was gonna make it big as a e-diva, e-celebrity rapper, and have a song called "Pay Piggy" that would entrance an entire generation of conspiracy aficionados.
You're not listening to what I'm saying to you, Tristan, okay? I'm saying that some of these blogs that had been here that suddenly got popular did not come out of nowhere, okay? They was put there. That's what I'm saying.
That's right. They had Mr. J. Dyer actually cannibalistically consumed Vigilant Citizen and ate him alive in an Illuminati ritual, which was filmed. And there are still people like this man, Tristan Haggard, is rumored to have videos with he is blackmailing J. Dyer to make him bring him on his channel. Now, this has been said, allegedly, this has been said.
Yeah, when we when we get to one of these videos, we have to stress everything is allegedly. Everything here is allegedly. Now,
Allegedly.
I do want to address one point that many people are bringing up about the Katt Williams interview, and Katt Williams is a wild, crazy dude. I mean, I'm not saying crazy. I mean, I think what he's saying is correct. But he's definitely a baller, shot caller, wild man. And a lot of people were calling attention to the fact that he talked about how you're not supposed to cut your sideburns a certain way, and they're saying, "Oh, that's crazy," and he's crazy. Well, actually, I think what he's talking about there is not as crazy as you might think, because what happens a lot of times in handler control relationships is that they will literally try to control your career down to who you can date, how you can wear your hair, what clothes you can wear. That's part of the handler control mechanism, and a lot of the celebrities who've come out of these situations allege that that's what happens. So it's part of the psychology of control. It's not actually that crazy to be told you can't cut your hair this way or that way. I think that's what he's talking about when he talks about the sideburns. I don't think he's literally saying like the Illuminati tell you a certain way to wear sideburns. That's kind of dumb. If you watch the interview,
I mean, it might make sense in certain contexts, especially when, you know, culturally, when you think about like how Elvis had his hair. I mean, that was a big thing. That was a big part of his persona, a big part of his public caricature. And that public caricature, you see how it resonates throughout generations, how it influences masses of people to adopt certain styles. So, you know, really simple things like that, or the way that they had Britney Spears dress, right? That influenced an entire generation of little white girls.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
To horrify themselves. Like that, like ruined my generation of girls. And we thought it was cool when I was in, 6th, 7th grade and Britney Spears came out, and all the girls started dressing that way because it stoked the passions, right?
It was like, make them all hoes. Let's do it, baby. Make them all hoes.
How about this stuff like the meme in hip hop of the chain, right? The gold chains. like you think, I don't know if this is some sort of a natural thing that black dudes just started wanting to wear gold chains in the 90s. Some of these people in like the hip hop community have said, oh, this is, it's a symbol of slavery. They're trying to dehumanize you. You got these black men that are wasting their money on stupid jewelry and stuff like this instead of actually investing in their communities. I mean, those theories do make sense when you think about, I mean, look at Jay. He's got a $10 million dollar sign staff here with an onyx. I mean, that he's very strong, so it doesn't look so heavy, but that's pure onyx. That's pure gold, platinum. And when Jay could be investing in the community in Tennessee.
Yes, a lot of people in the chat saying, "Who is your jeweler? Is it Paul Wall? Is it the same people that do grills?" If you're wondering, I'm happy to let you know the sponsor today is my personal jeweler, Spirit Halloween. So if you're familiar with Spirit Halloween, that is my personal jeweler.
Right. But yeah, so those little decisions, like you said, man, I mean, that it makes sense for those to be used for social engineering, used for control. And just going back to that letter, the alleged letter, the anonymous letter rather, that was something that was just posted on a random kind of hip hop message board, right? Like there's this site.
Are you talking about the executive meeting?
The secret meeting that changed rap music and destroyed a generation. Now, when you read it, it sounds totally plausible to a certain extent, and I think this is definitely tapping into something that is real. Maybe this specific meeting, in the way it's described, didn't happen. There could have been many meetings like this, but the economic incentives to fill the private prisons with young offenders for minor drug offenses, when you've got guys like Joe Biden that were pushing for really intense prison sentences for minor drug offenses, they're normalizing petty drug dealer culture. They're normalizing thug culture. And they really did destroy a lot of lives of young black men. And it's still happening now with this gangster rap culture. So it does make sense that whether this letter is real or not, I think, I don't even think it's that important whether this person is doing this as like a LARP and wrote this letter, or whether this guy really was in a meeting in the 90s.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, I mean, it's actually happened, right? So whether the letter is fraudulent or made up or whatever, the story in the letter, I mean, this is pretty much what's happened. So let's see, let me find this other. Are you familiar with Freeway Ricky Ross? I heard about him because Alex has interviewed Freeway Wiki. I can't do these R's. Freeway Wiki Was. Alex has interviewed him many times over the years, and he was one of the big drug dealers, I think, out in LA, right? He was a West Coast cocaine dealer, crack dealer, I guess. And he got pretty powerful. He was making, I think, multiple $1 million, maybe a week, maybe a month. And then, of course, he got busted. And what was uncovered was a larger network. And for those that don't know, this ties in, of course, to the Mena, Arkansas, Gary Webb, importation of cocaine, which is known as, it's connected to Iran-Contra and all that. But what a lot of people don't know about the 80s Mena, Arkansas thing, that was the, Barry Seal, the Tom Coombs movie, American Made, was about Barry Seal. What a lot of people don't know, though, is that it wasn't just Mena, Arkansas. There's actually airports all over the U.S., airports in Florida. Miami's a famous hub for the importation of cocaine. And the logistics of this, the scope of this, is actually so huge, so massive, that there's really no way that it is feasibly done via, a couple rogue cartels, right? The logistics are insane. I mean, if you go into Catherine Austin Fitz's material, she even talks about, in the 80s and 90s, various hotel chains, fast food chains that were actually hubs, particularly at interstates. So you might have a McDonald's or a Taco Bell at an interstate, and that was actually a known hub where people were pushing a lot of the cocaine, a lot of the stuff back in the 80s. Hotel chains like, I don't remember which brands, but you get the idea, right? Like if people know about a certain interstate, they pull off and they get cocaine at that hotel. Ricky Ross says, of course, this was all kind of organized by people way above him, right? And that makes perfect sense, because we find the same pattern, whether it's human trafficking, or whether it's arms trafficking. If you look at the story of Victor Bout, Lord of War, the Nick Cage movie, right? He answers to higher level, Pentagon, CIA type people. So here's a little bit of the Ricky Ross thing. I won't play the whole clip, but here's just a little bit of this.
The cocaine from Nicaragua was flowing into the U.S. Freeway Ricky Ross was at his heyday.
The average week would at least be $2 to $3 million, almost guaranteed. Some days we would have $2 and $3 million days.
After Freeway Rick was arrested, an investigative journalist by the name of Gary Webb uncovered a link that connected him back to the Nicaraguan Contra movement.
So Webb is the guy that went and investigated the Mena, Arkansas information and ended up with a self-inflicted shotgun wound to the head. That's right.
So I read Dark Alliance. I got a copy personally from Gary Webb himself. And to read the book, it was fascinating for me, to find out that I was connected with the CIA and all these high-powered people up in the government.
Ricky Ross was just lucky. He just happened to get a source.
Now that's Sully Castillo, and Alex used to have Sully Castillo on all the time back in the day because he was a DEA guy, and so he knew about this as well, working at the border. Sully Castillo, that is. So these are all people that Alex has had on like multiple times, but this is the book that Ricky Ross is talking about, the Gary Webb book. I'll just play a little bit more and then we'll go back to discuss. I don't want to cut you off, Tristan. You're making really good points.
No, I don't have anything to add.
For a long time in South Central, the buzzword was that the CIA was selling crack. I said, no, the CIA wasn't selling crack. The CIA was importing cocaine. Ricky Ross got it, turned it into crack, and he sold it.
According to Gary Webb's Dark Alliance, when Danilo Blandón was displaced from his home country of Nicaragua, he set off to America to raise money to aid the Contras in ridding his home from the invading Sandinistas.
Now, for those that don't know, the reason for Iran-Contra and these black market fundings was that a lot of what the CIA was doing in the Cold War, going back to Operation Gladio and the ideas of James Jesus Angleton, Paul Hallowell, was to fund the black ops with black operations like selling drugs, right? So because they knew that you couldn't, for example, go to Congress and say, Congress, can you appropriate to the CIA $50 million for an off-the-books arms deal? No. So they had to come up with creative ways to fund the black ops, and this tied into everything from Ponzi schemes, the Vatican Bank, to drug sales.
When Ricky Ross was introduced to Blandón, Blandón was in a position to create a pipeline of cocaine that he in turn gave to Ricky Ross on consignment.
Which I like the sound of that, because I was always trying to get to the top anyway.
See you at the top.
Suddenly, some major sources opened up for him. Danilo Blandón, Norwin Meneses, both of whom were tied to the CIA and the Contras, and Gary Webb did a masterful job of breaking those stories and proving with documents that was the case.
Whatever we were running in LA, the profit was going to the Contra Revolution.
I started doing a little research on my own, and I read a little bit about Oliver North and the Contras, because I never knew what the Contras was before.
There's legends.
Now, one thing I'll say about this, and I'll throw it over to you for comment, Tristan, is that back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, a lot of the people writing about these real conspiracies were Democrats, right? And so what happens, unfortunately, is that all of this stuff, which is true, then gets like put into party politics, much like the Big 9 event, right? If you talk, oh, you must be with the Democrats. Because if you remember, 9/11 Truth early on was immediately tied to and pushed over into Democrat party politics to go against Bush. But again, like setting aside the party stuff, this is above that. This is people in intelligence agencies, Pentagon, high-level military generals. This is people in FBI. This is way above the party. This is the deep state, right? That's who's really running this stuff. It's not a Democrat-Republican thing. Tristan, did you have any comments on that?
Yeah, well, I had some things that popped up, but then I just lost the thought. I'm thinking about, you mentioning the CIA connections to the crack and the cocaine epidemic, Iran Contra. I mean, there's incontrovertible evidence that the U.S. State Department and various intelligence agencies have always interfaced with cartels and had an interest in supposedly fighting the drug trade, but then there's just been incident after incident after incident proving that they're also engaged in this to a certain extent. What extent, at what level it's run at, it seems to be, different people have different opinions, but the whole Oliver North thing and what happened with Iran Contra shows that it's pretty likely that this stuff goes up to the highest levels of military, of intelligence agencies. And there've been a lot of incidents even recently where there have been investigations. And as you mentioned, a lot of this stuff, a lot of these investigations into CIA connections with drug cartels and stuff tends to come from people on the left. So there was an article in Covert Action magazine that was then republished on the Gray Zone about U.S. Special Forces training a lot of these Mexican drug cartels that are responsible for like the really what's happening right now with the cartels is it's reached this level of depravity. And the culture in Latin America and the culture in Mexico as well, with reggaeton, with their kind of version of rap that they have down there, these low-level gang members are really strongly influenced by their reggaeton music, the rap music, and then also this strange occult connection where you see the Santa Muerte cult, which is, the venerating Santa Muerte is Saint Death. So they're venerating death. They're basically involved in like satanic rituals. And there were investigations done by some journalists who made a connection between these drug cartels in Mexico that were doing these grisly murders and counterinsurgency groups from Colombia, Guatemala, and organized crime organizations. Because when you start digging into the structures of these cartels, it's somewhat decentralized in a way, because a lot of it is just street level thugs and whatnot. It goes up all throughout governments, throughout big businesses, and then the heads of those big businesses and governments are consistently interfacing with international contacts from the US, from Europe, and Albania. So there's this intricate web. But what I'm getting at is the rap music, the reggaeton music. This is super influential in these for the street thugs and in the kind of cartel culture now. So what happened in America with rap music influencing the sales of drugs, the culture around drugs, you have the same thing going on in South America right now, and things are just blowing up. But it has been shown that U.S. Special Forces were training these counterinsurgency groups in Colombia. And a lot of these same groups are involved in some crazy stuff. Like you look in Mexico now and what these cartels are doing in Mexico, and it's down here in South America as well. It's like ritual satanic sacrifice type stuff, cutting off the limbs of victims in these really grisly public displays of power where they will they'll put the bodies in a bag, and it's like the limbs have all been chopped off, the heads have been cut off. They're really kind of going back to the Aztec roots of some of these people and kind of trying to tap into that Aztec aesthetic and then tie this Aztec Santa Muerte ritual human sacrifice stuff in with the sex, drugs, and rap music culture. And it's gone really far.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know too that even street gang level stuff can tie into the occult pretty quick. There was some interviews 3 or 4 years ago that were on YouTube. I don't know if I'll ever be able to find them again. They were interviewing former street gang guys who were basically in the black community that were running street gangs, and they were talking about how there was overlap with a lot of these and occult stuff, because what the occult stuff in these spheres does is it's very good for initiation in the sense of making your bones and them having dirt on you, right? So you might have to, for example, off somebody. That's a classic make your bones thing in the mafia, right? Street gangs can require this kind of stuff too. So to make your bones, you don't just, pledge yourself to the gang or get beat up or whatever. They also have to have something on you, like you've committed some, pretty serious crime. That's a big part of it, especially as you go up the structure. And it's not surprising then that we could extrapolate that over into the entertainment industry. I made a video 5 or 6 years ago when XXX Temptation had died, and they were talking about odd elements in his death. I really do believe that because the entertainment industry is rife with so much intelligence, occult, and organized crime infiltration and control, I think a lot of these celebrity deaths are probably people being offed for various reasons. A lot of them are drug addicts too, the celebrities, and so they can often, make it look like, oh, they just overdosed. But both things can be true. You can be a drug addict and be offed by, star whackers. I think star whackers is real. So here's, for example, a picture of A$AP Rocky when he's, reportedly doing a satanic initiation or a satanic ritual. To me, this looks legit. I don't think that doesn't mean that he knows everything about the Illuminati or he even knows that much. The same with Lil Nas X, right? They openly push Satanism in rap. But that doesn't mean they have to be like masters of all the occult philosophy. They can be complete idiots and just used. So a lot of people always, they make these fallacious assessments of, oh, but so you're saying Katy Perry runs the Illuminati. You're saying Jay-Z and Beyonce invented the Illuminati. That's crazy, dude. Now, that's not what I'm saying. We're just saying that the cult mentality is useful for gangs. It's a gang mentality. Street gangs can use occult ideas and cult symbolism. Exactly what Tristan's talking about with some of the Latin American, El Salvadorian street gangs, like MS-13, that kind of stuff. They will use the occult. They will use Satanism. It's prominent in these circles because all of these things overlap. And my thesis is that not all of them, but a lot of the cartels and the street gangs are also handled and controlled by higher level people, particularly people probably in intelligence agencies. It's not the front piece CIA that you think about, but like there's people who are tasked with a separate side of things that runs the black ops stuff. And good guys in the good CIA or the white hats, they don't know about who's running the other operations in these compartmentalized black ops side of things. So, for example,
things are compartmentalized at the street gang level, at the the low levels, at the mid levels, and at the higher levels, and they're also compartmentalized in the same way in intelligence agencies and even in corporations. This is just how things are run. Like, not every person can know everything that's going on. Somebody in the chat,
it's a military structure, right?
Let me just address this asshole. Saul Sizzon says Tristan doesn't know what he's talking about. Reggaeton doesn't have any influence in Mexico, or cartel corridos do. Okay, so reggaeton is highly popular all throughout South America, and I don't know every single subgenre and every single every tiny niche subgenre within the like Mexican rap scene. So yeah, clearly I just made everything.
You just exposed that you know nothing, dude. Yeah, bro. You know nothing, bro.
I know absolutely nothing because I don't know every single tiny subgenre of rap.
You probably don't even know about the hard edge straight version of ska, which is making a comeback, where you actually don't do drugs as you do ska, but you get you alter your consciousness.
That's not hard edge straight, dude. It's straight core hard edge, not
it's
hard
straight.
Edge,
no, it's straight edge hard edge core. Gay ska is what you're not from. That's another genre underneath that you don't even know about.
No, dude, it's gay ska core, you idiot. That's not gay ska. Gay ska is that's like 3 years ago. Gay ska faded out with
It's such a teenager thing to do, to be like, you don't even know the genres. Like, you don't even know about the straight edge core gay ska scene. It's just like really hot right now. What are you, 17? Yeah. Who cares about your dumbass subgenres of a subgenre?
Yeah, if you listen to any of these genres of music, you're freaking awful. Anyways, if you're listening to reggaeton or any of this narco rap stuff, I mean, it's so degenerate. You hear the music in South America now, the stuff that's actually popular, it is so freaking weaponized. It's worse than any of the rap that was coming out in the 90s and 2000s. It's so vile, hypersexual, and violent. And it is, I mean, it's like shocking. I just tune it out whenever I'm hearing it. Because anytime you tune in, you're just like, I can't believe that guy just said this. And you're, be translating in my own mind, trying to remember the slang terms. I don't know every freaking slang term down here, but it's filthy.
I only listen to hard edge, straight, gay, core ska from 1998. That's the only. I cut it off at 99. I won't listen to any of the hard edge straight gay core.
I mean, because 1997 was when that stuff was really budding.
Right.
So you don't know anything. All opinions discarded. But I was thinking about this other genre, going back to U.S. rap scene, and this letter about filling the private prisons with the victims of the drug war. that would so that the private prison owners could benefit from the marketing of the drugs through the music. There was a genre of rap called the hyphy movement that happened. I don't know if any of that really reached. I mean, you know, E40,
I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like Keek the Sneak and E40 and some of these guys that became pretty big. But in California, in like the Bay Area, one of the biggest rappers of the late 90s, 2000 and early 2000s and mid 2000s was Mac Dre. And the hyphy movement and Mac Dre in particular really shows that everything in this letter is pretty much real, whether this letter is from a real person that was there or not. Because Mac Dre figured all this stuff out, and all the rappers in the mid 2000s figured out that they started basically marketing what they called fizz, and it was ecstasy, right? So they took MDMA and ecstasy and these pressed pills, which are like MDMA. And
are you talking about Alka-Seltzer? You talking about Alka-Seltzer?
Whoever, yeah, whatever else is in this stuff. And the hyphy movement was all about. It was a NorCal kind of Oakland, Bay Area scene, and it was all about just marketing pills. So this dude Mac Dre that came out of like where is he from? He's from like not Santa Rosa. What was that place called? So it was a place around like an hour and a half outside of San Francisco. And he was kind of like a street gang type guy and a pretty talented rapper who was a really funny dude as well. And he was kind of this underground rapper. And
was it Santa Clara? There's a lot of vampires coming out of there.
No, it was he used to say it all the time.
It's a Lost Boys joke. That's a Lost Boys joke, bro.
No, Santa Clara.
Santa Clara doesn't exist. That's from Lost Boys.
Yeah, exactly. Well, all Lost Boys. Vallejo. That's it. Vallejo. He was from Vallejo. So anyways, yeah, Mac Dre's whole career was just marketing his pills. He ended up getting arrested a few times, ended up getting shot in like some sort of an altercation having to do with territorial drug war type stuff. But he was marketing his pills to people to basically like white kids. Like he started the whole ecstasy, and didn't start it all, but he was kind of rode the wave of the whole mid 2000s ecstasy scene and normalized it amongst black kids in the Bay Area.
You know what? That's an interesting point. I want to ask you. I did, because I've never known that, because I've done a lot of interviews with Sean Atwood, and Sean was the dude for the Mexican mafia that was normalizing ecstasy in the late 90s, early 2000s. And he ended up booting heads with Sammy the Bull, because Sammy the Bull was also trying to get into the ecstasy thing. And so they were like trying to figure out who would run the ecstasy in the Phoenix, Arizona. And I'm assuming that spills over into California too, back in the early 2000s, I think. So, yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting. But I've never known, how did ecstasy go from white people at the rave to black people?
It was literally the hyphy movement, man. They started calling it fizz, get your fizz face. Like they memed it. It was meme culture kind of before YouTube was really big. And Mac Dre's whole thing was basically just talking about, rolling balls, popping pills in the club, pimping hoes and stuff. And it was interesting. It was all about, it was all the music, dude. And they got the whole hyphy movement normalized ecstasy among blacks, and it went nationwide pretty much. And it's still kind of influential today. Like tons of people in the chat remember Mac Dre, and he was huge all throughout California. Like he was kind of an underground sensation, and then after he died, he became more popular, kind of like Tupac.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because rap, at the same time as it began to kind of adopt white people drugs like you're talking about, it also was more and more self-consciously and openly satanic, right? Like, remember in the 90s, I remember when Bone Thugs and Harmony came out. No, I'm sorry. I know it's 666 Mafia, right? Because I'm from Tennessee. 666 Mafia comes out of Memphis. And so when I was in high school, everybody in my hometown, because Memphis isn't too far away, everybody was into rap. Everybody was into the Memphis rap scene. It was the hot underground scene in the late 90s. And so this is where Juicy J comes from, right? DJ Paul, all those guys. I think DJ Paul's from Tennessee. It seems like. If he wasn't, he was in that Memphis rap scene. But that was immediately tied to like Memphis black gangs. Everybody knew that even back in the 90s, right? And then they self-consciously took on the, you know, the 666 satanic imagery. I don't know how serious any of the people in 666 Mafia were about, quote, Satanism. It might have just been for branding. But what I'm saying is that it became their public branding, and it didn't immediately get popular at the time, like the idea of satanic rap. There was a period in the, I want to say, late 2000s. Do you remember horrorcore? That was a genre of rap where a lot of rappers got self-consciously kind of satanic, but they were getting more, it was more like goth rap. And now it's kind of flipped to where rap is like openly, right, super duper satanic.
Yeah, with what's that little
Nas X.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even in the mid '90s, there was like horrorcore stuff. RZA did that album with, I did the Gravediggers album, and that was kind of horrorcore type stuff. He had this song called SUICIDE, and it was really catchy. But it was literally just a song about different ways to end it. And it was kind of done in this, you know, mocking, humorous way. Like the Gravediggers album was, it was like,
you know what, you're right, I forgot about that. In fact, actually, remember Ghetto Boys was actually a little bit horrorcore, right? Because My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me, that's all about death, the devil, meeting your end. Yeah, so you're right. Actually, a lot of 90s rap was already kind of testing the waters with this, including 666 Mafia. But I think Ghetto Boys are probably the first to like really get popular on the at the you know, radio level. 666 Mafia had never got like radio play unless it was like local, you know, hip hop radio or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I remember looking through a lot of the CD like art and whatnot back in the 90s, because all my friends were playing 666 Mafia. They were playing Kingpin, Skinny Pimp, right? All these like lesser known, all these lesser known Memphis rappers.
Your occult rituals that you were doing, that's what your friends were playing. Your handlers, you mean, Jay?
No, but I do have a funny story that in high school, so Kingpin, Skinny Pimp, right? He had, I think he had the song "Tear the Club Up," right? Well, in my small town, everybody who was into rap, they were looking forward to him coming and playing a really small club that, I mean, it hadn't existed for 20 years. It was called Visions, right? So it was kind of like a skanky kind of club on the, you know, the bad part of town. It actually wasn't like a black rap club. It was just like a normal club that would play all kinds of stuff. So the club though was not making good money. So they had this idea to bring a Memphis rapper to come, and because Kingpin Skinny Pimp was always wearing dark glasses and like a pimp outfit and like a big furry coat and a pimp hat, you couldn't really tell whether it was him or not. So they actually brought a fake Kingpin Skinny Pimp to rap, and somebody in the club found out that he was a fake, and because he was lip syncing, and they were like, "Hey man, that's a fake Kingpin Skinny Pimp. That ain't him." So they actually tore the club up because it was a fake. They were like, "Give my money back, bro," because it was a fake Kingpin Skinny Pimp. I love this. Can you hear me? Are you there? Like, that's a true story. Yeah. That actually happened. So don't bring fake skinny pimps. That's the lesson.
I'll remember that.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So I do remember there was like scripture. Like if you would open up the CD, the sleeve, right? They had like scriptures in there, and it would be weird stuff. Like they'd be quoting the Bible, but they called themselves the 666 Mafia. It was really bizarre. I don't know what the thought was, but
didn't one of those guys recently come out and do kind of like Katt Williams and Ice Cube and some of these people and talk about the industry being satanic? Because there's this entire subgenre of YouTube videos in the conspiracy world of like Vlad TV and some of these channels. That
there have been a lot of rappers that have done this. Yeah, but I mean,
I think one of the 666 Mafia came out and like, you know, said, "Oh, you know, the industry is satanic." Now, sometimes it's hard to read. Sometimes people are legit just kind of Like you were a part of this satanic industry the whole time, and you knew it the whole time. And now that you're not making money, now you're pissy about it. That does seem to happen, where like some guys that are washed up or a little bit bitter about this or that, suddenly they'll want to get some clout, and they know that they'll get the internet conspiracy candy clout if they come out and
Yeah,
say.
I do remember that. It was it was
Illuminati.
Crunchy Black. That's right. I remember that. Who's one of 666 Mafia? Somebody in the chat saying that. Yeah, that's who it was. Actually did watch that interview. I think it was like 2 years ago. I think it was like DJ Vlad or something, right? But
Yep.
yeah, that's
it's
right.
funny because the industry is always playing into the Satanism stuff. They're always playing into the Freemasonic stuff, the Illuminist stuff with Jay-Z and Beyonce back in the day, and it's continued for the last 20 years. And then there's a whole economy about. There's like this whole online economy about just, oh, look at this Illuminati stuff. Look at this Illuminati stuff in the videos. And it almost just becomes like just all of it's just initiating people into getting more and more obsessed with the occult. So guys like 3-6 Mafia, who have all this occult imagery in their music, Jay-Z, they put that stuff out there. It gets people interested in Masonry. But then also some of these like conspiracy candy people who are just, making the synchromysticism videos, they're really just recruiting for Masonry as well. A lot of these people, by constantly talking about Masonic symbols, the Masons, this is all Masonic. There's this weird phenomenon there.
Yeah, and then it becomes a schizo thing where everything is a Masonic symbol. Bro, I walked outside, there was a tree in my yard. Yo, that's the tree of life, bro. No, not everything is a Masonic symbol. Tristan, you froze. So if you want to come back out and come back in, I'll read a super chat or two while you do that. Storm the Cat, $5. The rap band Death Grips uses a lot of demonic occult imagery in their lyrics. I think they are also literally satanic. They have talked about having power through working through them. Yeah, I think some of these people believe this, right? I mean, some of these people definitely take it serious. I don't know which rappers do and don't take it seriously and which ones are just using it as branding, but I don't know if they are still popular, but they were some years ago. Let me bring Tristan back on here since he had to pop out. Yeah, show on screen. Scripples. We got Scriffles. And then I got to make sure that he can see the window capture. So somebody in the chat said, Jay's just doing this to make sure that we are aware of his rap catalog. That's correct. That is part of today's stream, is to inform my beloved audience that I do have multiple hit rap songs on my front page of my YouTube channel under the music, the cringecore section. I'm a successful R&B and rap artist and also singer of other genres like reggae. So you can check out those songs, correct. Tristan, have you heard of the Death Grips? I'm not familiar with that rap group.
I thought that was like a metal thing. I've heard of Death Grips, but I think it might be a metal thing.
Well, the super chatter says it's rap, but a lot of rappers have kind of, over the years talked about the satanic stuff. So, the more I think about it, and then other rappers have met their end. Of course, Tupac, Notorious B.I.G. are famous examples, which we will mention a little bit of Tupac and B.I.G. because that ties in via my publisher's book to Death Row Records, John Potesh's book, Drugs, as a Weapon Against Us, and that ties into the overlap of a lot of the rap and R&B, hip-hop world, entertainment world with FBI informants, COINTEL, all this kind of stuff. Now, what's weird is that the guy, the Fugees, Praz from the Fugees, says that he was not an FBI informant. However, Entertainment Weekly is reporting that guilty superstar and rapper from the 90s group Fugees has been found guilty of conspiracy and acting as a unregistered agent of a foreign government. Michael was accused of funneling money to fugitive Malaysian businessman Zhou Lo through, not J-Lo, Zhou Lo, through straw donors to Obama's campaign, trying to impede an investigation into Lo's money laundering scam and to persuade the U.S. to extradite a Chinese dissident. Pretty intense stuff, but perhaps not too shocking for someone who once rapped Black Caesar, dating top divas, diplomatic legalese, no time for visas. So then it goes into the history of these people. And he actually ended up bringing Leonardo DiCaprio into the trial. This gets crazy. So Leo has to come testify, right, to try to, isn't that crazy, to back up that he's not like an informant?
Yeah, if I ever have like a high publicity trial, I'm just gonna get as many
Just get
celebrities
Leo
entangled as I possibly can.
That's actually pretty based in red pill. I like that plan, right? So had you heard this story about the Fugees guy and his connection to the FBI and all this, supposedly?
I'd heard Wyclef be. I'd heard that. I've heard people claim that Wyclef was a Fed, and that Wyclef. Some people said he was a Fed, and then others said that he was, or just a really dishonest guy in the way that he handled Lauryn Hill and tried to kind of gaslight people into thinking that she was insane when she was exposing certain things that were happening in the music industry too. But no, I've never heard this specific story. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's not surprising. I mean, but if you remember when Puff Daddy and Notorious B.I.G. had like their first or second hit, and the video is actually the FBI coming after Notorious B.I.G. And he's like, in the video, he's talking about how he's being surveilled by the feds and the DEA. Do you know the video I'm talking about?
I don't remember the specific video, but I remember the era.
Yeah, you got to remember. So this is like the biggest. So like they had the two big hits they had. The first one was the one that samples Sting, right? Every move you make, right? Remember that one? Mm-hmm. Every move you take, I'll be watching you. But the other one with where they're on their boat, the chat will know, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember the video. He's wearing white. He's wearing a white shirt.
Yes.
Puppy's like dancing.
Is it Hypnotized?
I
think it's Hypnotized, right? This is it. So I'm not going to play the video because it'll ding it. But what I'm getting at is that in the video, the whole story of the video is that the feds and the FBI and the DEA are coming after Biggie because he's engaged in James Bond-like activities. Here are the black helicopters chasing Biggie on his yacht, right, with P. Diddy. They're out on the yacht. Here come the feds, right? And he's rapping about the feds as he's running from the feds in his, I guess it's not a yacht, it's like a speedboat or whatever. But the whole story within the video is like, the feds are after me. I'm a targeted individual. That's basically what the message of the video is.
He's a T.I.
Anyway.
There actually is a rapper called T.I. too.
Targeted individual. Yeah, I remember T.I. Anyway, but this makes it double weird just because there is this, rap gang battle back in the 90s between East Coast and West Coast. And supposedly, right, this is what leads to the deaths of Tupac and Biggie, right? You there, Tristan? Did I lose you? Did you?
Yeah, you're frozen, so sometimes I can't. It's froze because you're sharing the video there. Maybe if I just leave and come back.
Yeah, try coming out and coming back in. You can see the video, right? Like, I intentionally am letting you see the video. I want you to see the video. Shout out, we got up to 800. I noticed that I suddenly start having connection issues when I get up to like 800-900. So it's anytime I'm edging up towards 1,000. We often do get 1,000 live, but seems to be a recurring problem at 1,000. So
good now.
There we go. And let me make sure that you can see the window capture there. So I just think it's funny that this video, right, ties into the theme of what we're talking about because, back in the 90s, you had this East Coast, West Coast, gang rap battle thing going on. The rappers are immediately intimately tied up with gangs and feds. That's the point here, is that people don't realize there's also a Fed organized crime. All of this overlaps in this weird domain of rap. And it ties into other foreign countries' organized crime as well. I'm talking about the Amish, of course, the Amish question. They have influence quite a bit in
the Hindus. I heard the Hindus run Hollywood.
Right.
And
All
just
right,
run the
so
music industry, Hollywood. You know what's an interesting, just another window into how all these things connect and kind of spider web into, into the culture. Here's an article: Wu-Tang Clan manager identified as Fed informant. So this is around the same time Wu-Tang kind of dropped their big album. I think it was like 92 or 93 when 36 Chambers came out. So let's see. A cover story in this week's Village Voice alleges that one of Wu-Tang Clan's manager, Michael Caruso, aka they call him Lord Michael, is a government informant that's been hiding his snitch past from the rap outfit. Caruso, described in the story as Capadonna's personal manager, was a star witness in the drug conspiracy trial of New York nightclub kingpin Peter Gattian, who was eventually acquitted on the charges even after Caruso testified. Caruso turned state's evidence back in 1998, confessing to a string of crimes, including extortion and drug trafficking, during the trial of Gattian, for whom Caruso had worked in the Manhattan nightclub Limelight. So you've got, Honey Pot Manhattan nightclub, where the clientele at nightclubs in Manhattan, I'm sure there's some, I'm not sure if this is a really high class nightclub or what, but yeah, this Michael guy, he was also, let's see, Lord Michael is still working for government prosecutors, and he's currently a witness in the pending racketeering trial against Michael Paciello, a Miami-based club operator and one of Caruso's former friends. Caruso is expected to take the stand and testify about Paciello's alleged mob connections. So that's kind of strange that, the former manager of Wu-Tang Clan is a federal informant. But we also know that the Wu-Tang Clan was investigated by the FBI, namely James Comey, back in the 90s as well. So I mean, this is kind of a strange thing.
And you made the point too that this begins to overlap via Wu-Tang with some of the weird cults like what Nation of Islam, 5%.
So it's a 5% nation, right? Yeah, the 5% nation, where 5% are the gods. It's a Gnostic cult that really reflects it's like a theosophy for black dudes, where black guys are the ascended masters, and the 5% rule the 95%, and the 95% are mentally dead. So RZA was in all of RZA's music, from Wu-Tang to his solo stuff to even like the Gravedigger stuff. Like he said, like, well, Gravediggers, I'm the resurrector. I resurrect the mental dead, because we're the 5% gods, and the rest of you are the mentally dead.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know this. So I do know about Nation of Islam. We've done some interviews with people there, and of course, Farrakhan, as we mentioned earlier before the chat, was kind of talking to some of the people like Ice Cube. I think he's talked to Katt Williams. He's talked to Dave Chappelle in the past. Dave Chappelle, or I think in the case of, Katt Williams says, I'm not a member of that, but I've been talked to and about his views and his theories. And I mean, Alex, I think, has even had Farrakhan on back like 10, 15 years ago. But there's some really odd things about the Nation of Islam. It ties into weird Fed cult Gnostic stuff as well.
Scientology stuff too.
Scientology, yeah. But now tell me about this. So the 5% is actually getting more in the direction of the Hebrew Israelite stuff, right?
It's like Hebrew Israelites for Allah, right? But Allah is man. Allah is like the you're like, it's this ascended master type thing, where RZA will, in his raps, he'll be like, Allah is an acronym. They're obsessed with acronyms too. Like all the 5% nation dudes, they love acronyms. So Allah is arm, leg, arm, head. So it's like Allah is just a man, and you is God. And
I think the Quran and the Hadiths actually describe, Allah having two left hands. So maybe that's why.
Yeah, no. So they get it wrong here. The 5% nation, they get that wrong. They don't know that Allah really has two right hands. But yeah, it's a really strange cult. They're super into they call it, it's like the nations of the gods and the earths, and the gods are the black man, and the earths are the black woman. And they talk about divine mathematics, supreme mathematics, and the magical numbers. And the number 7 is like at the center of the sun, and it's Masonic. It's like they lift Masonic imagery, and it may have been created by some Masonic types, but then it's also somewhat theosophical, but uses Islamic imagery. But they also talk about the elite
and there's baked into their theology is this concept of like a 10% being the elite that keep the 80%, or there's 85% are mentally dead, 10% are the elite that keep the mentally dead, and the 5% are the gods that are supposed to liberate the
Oh
mentally
wow.
dead.
Okay, now I didn't. So this is where we get the idea of the black gods, right?
Yo, that's why they be
Okay.
like, peace, gods. Yo, peace to the gods and the earths. In all their songs at the beginning, they banter like that.
So well,
And they're
yeah,
throwing
but
out-
I'm being serious. Like the we was
Yes.
kings, like the black gods, in the sense of like that's why they use the terminology of
yes.
some of the
No,
rappers
that's
call
like
themselves that, right? Like Lil B the
Exactly.
Bass God. I mean, and then there's another
Charlemagne the God and so these guys.
Charlemagne. That's what I was trying to think of exactly.
Yeah, there's one of the members of Wu-Tang they called himself You God.
Oh wow.
His name was You God. So like every one of these guys in Wu-Tang, from RZA, Jizza, the whole crew were super into the 5% Nation stuff. And when you look at their emblem, it's like it's this weird, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like this 8-pointed star with a 7 in the middle of it, and then the Islamic moon behind it, and
Oh,
it says
wow.
in the name of Allah. It's a really strange cult, man. I think it's loosely connected with the Nation of Islam, but it's like way far down. It's basically
So it's like
black
a cult. Is it a
supremacy.
cult within it, or is it a spinoff?
I don't think it's a cult within the Nation of Islam. It's like a spin-off
Okay.
that goes way further.
I see.
Now,
also to your point about Rasta stuff, if you go into Rasta or reggae, if you go into Rastafarian theology, which they don't really have a theology, it's more of like a weird kind of syncretism, but they actually are kind of the predecessor to a lot of the Hebrew Israelite stuff as well, if you didn't know that.
Yeah, well, they talk about like Bob Marley would be like I and I, like
well, they've referred to
this
themselves as
concept of
Zion, right? So and they'll tie it to like
Yeah.
Coptic Christianity, that it's basically like a heresy of Coptic Christianity, that the real lost tribes of Israel are the Rasta, and that's the true Hebrew Israelite, right? And then a lot of today's weird online Black Hebrew Israelite people have adopted arguments that come out of Rastafarian stuff.
Yeah, well, it's sad because you see how rap was a vehicle for all these weird cults that are kind of like loose, like weird black nationalist type cults, that those filtered out throughout the culture, throughout the New Age Black conscious cult movement, as they call it online, and guys like Nature Boy, the cult leader Nature Boy.
Nature Boy, yeah,
they'll
your
pick
classic
and
favorite,
choose.
yeah.
My guru, my
Your
life coach.
former co-streamer.
My former life coach, he's in
Your
prison
twin
now,
flame. Your twin flame, dude.
unfortunately.
Come on. Twin flame. Come on.
My twin flame. But like I'm looking at, I've got the some of the beliefs of the 5% nations up here. So here we go. Allah taught his black male students that they were gods, just as he was. He taught them that the astral twin of the black man is the sun. So the sun is your twin flame, and the black man is God. In supreme supreme mathematics, the black man is simple. Black woman who came into father to study along with the males were taught that they were solid of the planet Earth because women produce and sustain human existence, as does the earth. I already mentioned that one, but yeah, they were not just a fringe group. Like Jay-Z's influenced by these guys. A lot of the big 90s rappers were influenced by them.
I didn't know that.
Wu-Tang, obviously one of the biggest rap groups.
Yeah, no, this is a great. I mean, I don't think we've ever really talked about 5% Nation, so that's actually good to go into this topic. It's one of the many cults we haven't ever talked about, and it does play a role in being in the background of some of this stuff. Yeah, so people in the chat, right? A lot of good comments there. Thank you guys for that. If you guys would remember, hit the like, push the like button. Don't smash it. We don't have sex with like buttons around here. Push the like button. And let me know what you guys think about in the comments below. If you're watching this live, thank you for your comments there. But you can also, if you're watching this later, leave me a comment below about things you think I missed, links to articles, whatever you want to tell me about. Now, more recently, we had Ice Cube on Bill Maher, and Ice Cube was reaffirming this point about the control of the record industry. It's basically what Busy Bone was saying earlier, but it's yet another person really prominent. And actually, people that don't know, Ice Cube has been really successful as a businessman. So he actually went into all these kinds of ventures, and he's done really well. He's very, very wealthy dude. So, you know, I think maybe now that he's successful, he's not worried about, you know, losing his career or whatever. He can talk about this kind of stuff. So it's a brief clip. I'll play a little bit of it, and you can see why everybody's talking about this again.
Labels own the prisons.
Literally the same people?
Literally the same people who own the labels own private prisons. The records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
But they didn't make you write those lyrics.
It's not about making somebody write the lyrics. It's about being there as guardrails to make sure certain songs make it through and certain songs don't. Some records are made by committee. Meaning record company guys sit around and tell the artists, this is hot, say that, do this. We're gonna have this guy write the lyrics. We're gonna have that. You have, you know, the record company pushing the narrative. You know, some social engineering going on here to make sure those prisons stay full.
Boom. So there's the clip that's kind of going around again, kind of backing up what had been said for a long time. Space Ghost ZOG17 cents $5. He says, according to the best theological understanding today, can you affirm that there will be any gangsters in paradise? Tell me, why are we so blind to see that I forget the rest of it, right? Been spending most our lives living in gangsters paradise. Right? Come on now, that was hype. That was beautiful. So
He's
the answer
making
is
up songs.
no. The answer is yes. Many gangsters will be in paradise. Hashtag Katt knows everything. Thank you. Owl Dog Author sends $10 and says, check out The Charter, a millennial journey out of hip-hop hypnosis by Owl Dog on Trine Day. And yes, Owl Dog, I do have your book right here. And that is from my publisher, Trine Day. It's called The Charter. And Owl Dog is actually a super duper, like, he knows everything about the history of rap. We did some great podcasts back in the day. We had some debates over on his channel, if you guys remember. So shout out to him and his book. Thank you for that super chat. Check it out. Poop Francis, $5. You guys are musically ignorant. It's actually insane. I bet you have never listened to the hetero-orthodox gay dinga ska core. What a bunch of clowns. You're correct. I'm not. That's a new genre to me. But look, you don't have to speak in such a hurtful way. It's just a new genre to me. Show some patience. Let me immerse myself in hetero-orthodox gay dinga ska core. Then make a judgment. Tristan, do you have any comments on that?
No, I'm not sad or anything that he said that.
See, I mean, this is a safe space. This podcast is a safe space, and you've hurt Tristan. So I just hope I hope you're happy with yourselves. Greg the Berean, $10. I truly appreciate you brothers. Do you mean that you appreciate our brothers, as in my brother and Tristan's brother, or do you mean you appreciate us as brothers? Because I'm not actually related to Tristan. I know people think that we might be, although typically people in my genetic family are good looking. So I don't know why you would think I'm related to Tristan, but
he's saying brothers, like brothers.
Oh,
brothers.
Gotcha. Exactly.
Like the gods. Peace to the gods and the earths.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. By the way, guys, remember that if you super chat today, the super chats also support me and Tristan. So it's a dual stream. That means I share my super chats with Tristan. This is our weekly show that we do together. We have a lot of fun. You can super chat us right there through Streamlabs. It's not on YouTube. You have to use the Streamlabs link. It's very easy. Just click on over there and send us a comment, an idea, a joke, perhaps even. I'm willing to read a joke or two, but we don't joke.
If it's not about me.
If it's not about me and only about Tristan. Now, check out the world-class Wrecking Crew. So this is the hard gangster rap of Dr. Dre when he was an Urkel. I mean, a
You guys
gangster.
need some chalk. You guys need some of that Chad mode, bro.
Yes. Well, let's go ahead and before we get into Dr. Dre and the drama with P. Diddy and what's going on with all of that, I do have a little brief ad that I want to show you. Our show sponsor is the one, the only, the Basin Red Pill Chalk.com. And if you guys remember, they do have wonderful products. I'm going to show you this ad. Use the promo code in the ad. We'll be right back in 3 minutes. Tristan, if you need to, go TT. Go to the little girl's room and go TT. We'll be right back. Chalk.com, baby. Chalk.com. That's this right here.
I'm gonna put you on something crazy real quick. Most of these Zoomer gym bros are consuming macro-guzzling synthetic dyes and synthetic sweeteners on the daily. They don't even know it. Goofy AF. There's nothing great about that. Do not listen any further unless you are an alpha or sigma male. This is important and there could be consequences. There's a new certified sigma male pre-workout powder for sigmas only. It is guaranteed to empower you to dominate your co-workers, fire your boss, aggressively gamble, or invade a small village. Chad Mode stands out from the crowd by excluding artificial flavors, preservatives, sweeteners, and dyes. We've even avoided so-called natural flavors, which are actually not natural at all, ensuring a clean and effective formula. Experience the pure goodness of Chad Mode, colored with organic blue spirulina extract, organic lemon, cherry, and organic maple crystals. Forget synthetic caffeine made in a sketchy Chinese lab. Embrace the natural power of organic green coffee bean extract, which will get your mind going and pump you up to the max. Chad Mode is made in America with all clean ingredients, the first clean pre-workout of its kind. Why are these people adding synthetic sweeteners to every single pre-workout when there are many studied downsides to consuming nasty fake sucralose? Each dose of Chad Mode contains the kick of a cup and a half of coffee, delivering a surge of energy alongside essential vitamins, minerals, amino acids.
All right, we're back. And of course, Tristan is being very professional by just walking away and leaving the show as it's live. But that's why we love him, because he treats us with respect when we have him on our extremely popular internet program. Not everybody can have an internet program. You understand that, right? Not everybody can be on iTunes. And then Tristan just walks away in the middle of the podcast. So
you miss me.
You know, this is a privilege and not a right. Not everybody can have.
You gave me the privilege to go urinate. I'm sorry, sir. Are we live again?
How long does it take? Do you have prostate problems? How long does it take you to pee, bro? Do you need some chalk?
What's how many am I allowed per show? We talked about this before. You said maybe once per show. You said to ask for permission. I asked you permission. You told me I can go tinkle, and I'm back, and now you're mad again.
Well,
you're just like my wife's boyfriend, dude.
I'm sorry. Now
you're exactly like Ty Shaw.
Now, what do you think of the wrecking crew here? Because they don't look gangster to me. They look more like Urkel.
Y'all ain't hard. Y'all ain't hard at all. Y'all got to get some Chad mode.
A bunch of Urkels trying to be hard, and then so they go from being these dudes to being like this. Bruh. By the way, I do like that Dookie chain that Dre has. I'll take a damn Dookie chain of that level. That's about a what? Yeah, $100,000.
Dre still takes Dookie chains. You know what I mean? Word on the streets that Dre be taking all sorts of Dookie chains.
Well, we're gonna get to some of that Dookie chain information with P Diddy, right? When we get to P Diddy, Jamie's in there going, "Ew." Tristan with that rated R joke. Oh, damn. American Squidward sends $2 and he says, "This is a great stream, guys. Thank you." Do you have any rappers that you actually like or listen to, like Jelly Roll or Tom McDonald? Hell no, I don't listen to Jelly Roll or Tom McDonald. Ben Shapiro is the only Ben Shapiro's the only rapper that I listen to. That's the only rapper I like.
Young Boomer, Little AIDS. Like, that's it. That's all.
The Big 7-footer for $10. Since you're a big chalk propagandist, you work for the big chalk industrial complex. Tristan, I'll only mention a pre-workout supplement titled Pre-Sup. That would be a good idea. Okay. Fair enough, 7-footer. AC, shout out to AC, longtime supporter, super chatter. He sends $5 and he says, God body BS is even jumping the race in underground Philly scene, while white Islamic rapper Vinny Paz and all the people he works with. God body BS is jumping in the race of the underground Philly scene. And there's a white Islamic rapper named Vinny Paz. What? This is all getting so weird. A white Islamic rapper. Thizzy Wizzy, $5. Mac Dre made the song Thizzle Dance, and it popularized the hell out of ecstasy. Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't know that.
You do the Thizzle Dance. That was the song. Dude, his songs were hilarious too, and he would make these funny noises. He'd make these videos. He'd be like, "I'm making my Thiz face," and he was a great marketer, man. I mean, it was degenerate and terrible, and it ruined a bunch of people's lives. But he was super funny, and he was like meme rap, and he memed his drugs into kids' lives. It's sad. Can you do that?
Well, speaking of that, who sang that song? Everybody in the club getting tipsy. Everybody in the club getting. Is that Ja Rule or is that somebody else?
That's 50 Cent, right? Wasn't it?
No. Everybody in the club getting tipsy. Everybody in the club getting tipsy. So he comes up, I think, in one of the videos about P. Diddy's, as they say, freakoffs. I didn't know what a freakoff was. Have you heard of a freakoff?
I don't even want to know what that is.
You don't want to know what it is, but it basically is when you get down with a Skittles man. You know what I'm saying? So P. Diddy, the story is
you got to do it in the Katt Williams voice, though.
Well, we're about to play a couple videos that go into this, and you'll see what I mean. So let's talk about the first instance here. This it? I think this is it. P. Diddy and his freakoffs. Okay, so Katt Williams, right? The reason this is all so big is that Katt Williams claims in his interview that it's not just drama that everybody has talked about for many years. He claims, I have the videos, okay? I have the evidence, and a lot of this stuff is going to be coming to light, if y'all wondering. So here is a person commenting on it, Miss T. Allegedly, Miss T is going to allegedly talk about it.
It has been said that, allegedly.
So it looks like the threats that Katt Williams has been getting from the industry have done nothing to stop him or slow him down, because he is still out here spilling tea on celebs and exposing some really creepy stuff. And this time he is now claiming that he has some footage of Steve Harvey allegedly engaging in a freak off with Diddy.
Steve Harvey in a freak off with Diddy. Okay, that's the new. I gotta be honest, I want to see it. I'm waiting to watch this. I've been sitting around for a long time waiting to watch a freak off between Steve Harvey and Diddy. Now, I'm not going to play all this video. It's just funny that the video talks about, okay, now there's dirt drama about this. But the reason this video matters is that Steve Harvey apparently made sure that his daughter started dating and got in the circles of P. Diddy. And then it turns out that, as has long been rumored, P. Diddy likes to allegedly get all of his women that he dates or sees to sleep with a lot of men, and it's all recorded, as well as other things being recorded with men, right?
So somebody in the chat just mentioned that, I gotta scroll up. What was it? Usher, somebody said that Usher lived with P. Diddy when Usher was 14 years old.
So the Usher comes up, right? So Usher is part of the storyline of the people that P. Diddy, the allegedly predates upon, is the story. Does that make sense?
P. Diddy more like P. Diddley. But what about
exactly.
Birdman and Lil Wayne? Lil Wayne said that Wayne was like 9 years old, hanging out with all these older rappers. And Lil Wayne talks about how when he was something like 10 years old, Birdman had a woman perform an illicit act on Lil Wayne in front of a bunch of the homies.
And I mean, that's absolutely disgusting stuff. The things you hear directly from some of these people of the traumatic experiences that they had being groomed or abused by these people. And allegedly Birdman was doing this to a bunch of different people.
I want to hump all the girls in the world. Right. I want to hump all the girls in the world. How would Lil Wayne get to that? Because of what we're talking about, because of probably situation. Anyway, so this video, I'm not going to play this video, goes into, I'll link it for you guys if you do want to watch it. The crazy stuff that, again, if you were Steve Harvey, why would you want your daughter dating P. Diddy? Okay, yeah, well, for money, right? Well, first of all, Steve Harvey doesn't need money, but he might be greedy and want more money or whatever. But the thing is that it's the stuff that Katt Williams is talking about. It's like everybody got dirt and drama and video of crazy, nasty stuff. So
you remember the stories about Tupac? And is this a good time to interject? With
please do.
Tupac and what's her name's dad? Oh man, the record producer, the black musician, record producer,
Quincy Jones.
That Quincy Jones, the Tupac Quincy Jones allegations. Let me look this up to get this straight before I say it, because I might be.
Yeah, while you look that up, I'm gonna. So we'll look at a little bit of this video about how does this relate then to Diddy and 50 Cent. Okay, because this video gets pretty funny. I didn't know any of this, right? All this rap drama. So, but it's funny, and it relates to a lot of what we're talking about with many Jeff Stein McEffery operations. That's what's going on here. So listen to this. So 50 Cent and P. Diddy have a long history of drama, and it goes back to when P. Diddy apparently told 50 Cent, let's go shopping. And 50 Cent said, I ain't going shopping with you. Why would I go shopping with you? Right? So implying that it's a Skittles thing. So this is how this kicks off.
You said, why? Because when you walk around looking so good, I'm going to feel like, God damn it, that with me. That's all I want to do. That's all I want to do. But when a nigga tell me you want to take me shopping, what the matter with this nigga?
Yeah, I thought he needed some clothes.
I just want to take him shopping. He needs some clothes.
I'm a nice guy.
Why are you in 50?
Hey, yo.
Why y'all not?
Okay, so they're saying, but he seems a little nervous about that. And then it turns out that certain individuals around P. Diddy, I'm not going to replay all this drama, have kind of, they are unalived. Okay. And so Katt Williams is, again, he doesn't say anything about that, but Katt Williams is bringing up all of this drama. And again, saying that there's video of all of this stuff is the point. So here is this. And then the clip where P. Diddy, he doesn't want Kevin Hart sitting on his bed.
Scouting out fresh talent from the comedian pool. It's like he was building his own squad, but not for laughs. Now, if you're wondering why Kevin Hart got caught up in this whirlwind of chaos, Katt's got stories for days. According to him, Kevin not only knew about Diddy's alleged escapades, but was also in the loop about Diddy's sketchy activities, even though he wasn't part of Diddy's comedy special. Now, let's dive into the wild world of Diddy's parties, where 50 Cent warned us things get crazier than a roller coaster ride. Attending Diddy's parties is already eyebrow-raising, but hosting them? That's a whole new level of crazy. In an old video from one of these bashes, Diddy was chilling on a bed when Kevin and the camera crew walked in. Diddy looked caught off guard, and the attention in the room hit an all-time high. For some reason, Diddy kept telling Kevin not to get any closer, and threw in a no-homo joke, making things weirder.
We want to thank you. Come in. Don't sit on the bed at night. No homo. No, just don't get close to the bed. Don't get close, but it's just like, yo, we want to.
Go get over here.
Man. It's been a pleasure. You didn't have to do it. You did. No, I definitely didn't have to do it. I definitely didn't have to. First and foremost, I'm not getting in the bed. Shout out to him and what he did. I'm just gonna, if we can, let's just put the camera a little this way, just so we're not. I don't want my shot.
I don't want anywhere near the bed.
I don't want it to come close to the bed.
Did something go on between Diddy and Kevin that night for them to act that way? Katt thinks there might have been a bit of hanky-panky between Diddy and Kevin at that time.
Now, this might sound a little kind of goofy, but if earlier in the video, what the video is talking about is that there was a comedy special tour that was the project of P. Diddy, but Katt Williams wasn't involved because P. Diddy wanted to allegedly predate upon along a lot of the young individuals in the comedy tour. So this is what Katt Williams is talking about in the video where he talks about all this crazy stuff going on.
Puff and Ja Rule runs out the room. Puff got his towel, Ja grabbed
cousin who had arrived unexpectedly. The commotion led to Diddy and Ja Rule coming out of the room, both wearing only towels. 50 Cent and Diddy's ongoing drama just got spicier. Rumor has it that 50 Cent is cooking up a documentary that dives deep into the SA allegations against Diddy. And get this, the cash flow from the doc, it's all going straight to the victims. No fear in 50's game, even with Diddy holding down the fort in the hip-hop kingdom. He's been blasting about the documentary on his Insta, all about doing what's right. Now, how 50 Cent's documentary will hit, we gotta wait and see. Here's the real head scratcher. Why does Diddy keep making moves on his adversaries? First, it was 50 Cent and now Katt. It's like he's just daring someone to...
Now, I'm trying to find the part of this video where it talks about the young comedians tour. That was the most relevant part. Here it is. It's coming up right here.
Spill the beans and expose him. Buckle up, because fans had their own theories about why Diddy was getting cozy with Katt. Hold on tight, because the grapevine was buzzing with the talk that Diddy had his eyes set on Katt for his comedy special.
Yeah.
P. Diddy presents the bad boys of comedy.
This is it. Okay, so this is the background to all of what was in the Katt Williams interview.
This. Diddy was all about conquering the comedy scene in Hollywood, and he pulled off this massive special, bringing in a whopping 110 comedians. Sounds like a blockbuster, right? Well, it could have been if it weren't for some serious side-eye action. See, back then, Diddy was side-eyed for some shady stuff with dudes. Now, here's the real kicker. Whispers were swirling that this comedy special was just a smokescreen for Diddy's alleged shady dealings. The suspicion? Diddy was allegedly targeting struggling comedians, maybe more open to his advances. I mean, who wouldn't be thankful for someone kicking doors open for their careers, right? Word on the street was that the special was a cover for Diddy to get into some not so great stuff. Katt spilled the tea, hinting that Diddy was allegedly scouting out fresh talent from the comedian pool. It's like...
Allegedly. Right. And this is why in the interview, Katt Williams says, my booty hole was protected from all this, okay? Lamont Stigler sends $5 and says, why is all of the dirty laundry being aired right now? Is it a distraction? Honestly, I don't know why. I mean, maybe Katt Williams is partly doing it for promo, to promote a tour or something. Like, why now? I don't know why he's coming out with all this now. But maybe a lot of people are deciding that since stuff is coming out, it's the time to bring stuff out, right? Like, we've had a lot of the Jepstein information coming out. We've been covering that with, analyzing Whitney Webb's book, which is also from my publisher, Tron Day. Other cases have come out. Weinstein's come out. Savile got busted. That came out. I mean, there's a ton of these kind of emerging now. So maybe that's partly why. Kristen, shout out to Kristen, sends $5 and says, the Father Allah is the 5% founder, and his Allah school in Mecca in New York City was promoted by mayors, senators, civil rights leaders, record industry executives, and task force planners. His group was given a lot of free government gifts, like free plane flights. Interesting. So there's a government promotion connection there to 5%. Thank you, Kristen. Anika Suki, $5. Have you read Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future by Father Seraphim Rose? If so, do you have any thoughts? Yes. It's a great book. It's kind of a classic. I did a whole 2-hour talk on that video, which is still on my channel, on my video on that. You can still find it. It's like 40,000 views on my channel. So yeah, I like that. It's a great book. Tristan, did you want to comment? I've been rambling here for a while.
Yeah, no, I love that book. Great book. Recommend it to many people. I always recommend it to friends of mine who are like evangelicals or even people who are coming out of the new age.
If you're a business owner,
it's a good bridge to learning about Orthodoxy and Father Seraphim Rose.
Now, Usher is going to be playing the Super Bowl, I just found out. And Tristan, I know, is really happy. I called him earlier. He was crying when he heard the good news that Usher was playing Super Bowl. Exactly. He's still excited. I'm happy for you, man. But he ties into this because, as Tristan pointed out, there's a long, weird history of Usher and Diddy. So let's
onto some
see what that's
spicy
about.
evidence, and that's why Kevin's zipping his lips. Word on the block is Katt's got the goods on how Kevin may have been involved in Diddy's shady dealings with Usher back in the 90s. Imagine this, Usher, the smooth operator, supposedly crashing at Diddy's pad in New York when he was just 13, and rumors floating around that Diddy allegedly passed him an STD. Now there's some chit-chat in the air, and it might trace back to Usher's chat with Howard Stern. Usher hinted at seeing some wild things during his stint under Diddy's roof.
Lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor
some...
Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it was
Camp.
called.
Flavor
and
Camp.
you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and eating like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you
I
seeing?
went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand.
Change the topic.
From day one, we used to wake up and, pause, but like just I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle.
Anyway, so that's the background to all this. That's enough of that video. Tristan, what do you think? What's going on?
Diddy's dirty, man. I mean, I've seen quite a few of these kind of whistleblowers, people that are around him, people that have been around him. As I hear it echo myself, it's distracting. Sorry. He's definitely dirty. He's definitely into the dudes. There've been a lot of people who've talked about this. You know, another guy that talked about there being a big kind of rainbow mafia influence in the rap world. Everybody knows about. Well, Dave Chappelle talked about how they like to effeminize black men in mass media and in pop culture in order to emasculate them.
We played that because Katt Williams said that that's all true. He said, you have to wear the dress and be in a movie where you're dressed like a woman, and he talked about that in the interview.
Yeah, and then there are a lot of these football players and NBA guys who the world of the NFL and the NBA has a big cross sectionality with the hip hop world, and you see this with guys like Cam Newton and a lot of these other NFL stars. I don't watch the freaking NFL. I only know some of these guys' names just because of not from actually following the sport. So I couldn't name you a bunch of these guys, but I've seen there have been compilations made of all these NBA stars and NFL stars dressing like women, wearing skirts, carrying effeminate handbags, wearing a bunch of like gay scarves, dressing like freaking babushkas. And this stuff's all done for a reason, right? But Diddy seems to play an important. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
So Diddy seemed to play a really important role in kind of effeminizing and emasculating men, and maybe even compromising them with the homo stuff.
Yeah, that's what Katt Williams. That's what Katt Williams is saying.
So you remember when Tupac, before Tupac was a famous rapper, he was really effeminate and acted pretty gay in a lot of ways.
Like he's got like ballet stuff, and like he's dressed like he's going to be.
He was a theater nerd. He was a gay theater kid who was into dance and theater. But then there was also when he became famous, his whole thing was wearing he would wear that bandana, but he would tie it like a woman. He would wear it like a woman wore those.
Yeah, the big pioneer of this was Dennis Rodman. Remember Dennis Rodman in the 90s? Yeah. Started dressing he started dressing like a woman.
Cross-dressing. But he would get hot chicks, so it's like, oh, you'd say Dennis Rodman's effeminate, but look, he dresses like a lady, but he gets Carmen Electra or whatever. But Tupac was definitely super effeminate, and there was a lot of homoerotic imagery of him. That famous picture of him, and he's got these gold chains and stuff, and he's naked in a bathtub. And who's taking these pictures, right? Who are taking the pictures of Tupac when he's naked? He's always had his shirt off and stuff, so he became kind of a sex symbol. But there was something real effeminate about him. But he also talked about, and I remember seeing the video of this, and I'm looking at some posts now of people that are corroborating this. There was a video, and I'm so sure this was real, unless this is some stupid Mandela effect type thing. But I remember the video of Tupac calling out Quincy Jones and saying that Quincy Jones tried to proposition him into, you know, some sexual acts or whatever. And this has been talked about. You see people talking about this still on the internet, but the video is no longer online. I don't know where the video is, but I'm so sure this video did exist. But anyways, yeah, Tupac did talk about Quincy Jones being sort of a predatory P. Diddy type figure back in the day, with especially black men, trying to get them to compromise themselves in that way.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you know, as you pointed out earlier, I don't remember the other rappers who, I mean, I remember the Lil Wayne clip, but there have been actually a handful of these that popped up on different, you know, drama podcasts like Breakfast Club or DJ Vlad. And they were saying that, oh, you know, to go up the ranks in the rap industry or the music industry requires you to, you know, it's not just the casting couch with, you know, the director who wants to sleep with a hot actress. It's also like the dudes, right? Remember the black actor Terry, what's his face? Remember him? He said that he was like they told him, like, if you want to get certain roles, you're gonna have to sleep with dudes. Remember him? Terry, is it Terry Crews?
Yeah, Terry Crews. But
yeah,
you know, it makes me think of. Did you say Black Panther, dude? Like he was in the Black Panthers back then?
No. Black actors.
Black actor. I'm sorry, my dog was yapping in
That's
the background.
okay.
You said Black Panther, and that reminded me of Tupac's mother, Afeni Shakur, was a prominent Black Panther activist.
Correct.
And the Black Panthers, I mean, this is that was one of the most famous COINTELPRO incidents where the feds were infiltrating these groups, radicalizing portions of them, getting them to fight against each other. And the history of COINTELPRO totally applies to the history of hip hop, and these same tactics have been used throughout the, you know, the 90s and the 2000s in the hip hop world as well, which includes blackmail, sexual blackmail, drug addiction, getting people addicted to drugs and making them addicted to vice, and then also getting them to fight against each other, right? Like with the East Coast, West Coast battles that were going on, that something seemed pretty contrived about that.
Yeah, and actually, looking up the Terry Crews story, right? His agent Adam Bennett have agreed to settle a lawsuit in which Bennett supposedly groped him at a party. And what he talks about is the way Alex describes it, and Alex claims this happened to him too. He says that you get invited to these Hollywood parties and whatnot, and like, you know, some big producer or famous person in like not the celebrity, but on the you know, handler manager side, like takes you aside and grabs your areas and says, you know, how bad do you want that role or whatever, right? So that's supposedly how this goes down and how it works. And that's just at like the norm level. Okay. That's not at like the highest level of like what's going down at, you know, the Eyes Wide Shut party, right? We all know that the Eyes Wide Shut parties are real. They're happening. And again, it overlaps with, you know, the intel stuff. So let's see if I had any more. This is an entire video, by the way, about extortion in hip hop. It's kind of long. I'm not going to play the whole clip, but this guy gets into talking about different people, who's extorted who. That in the rap scene, like a lot of times, if you go to a certain city, you're supposed to check in, right? This is a mafia thing where you check in so that people don't think that you're there in their jurisdiction of organized crime. You know, up to no good. So you check in with the local boss, and then, okay, we know you're here. We know what you're up to. The same thing apparently has happened throughout the history of the rap world because it overlaps with organized crime groups. But if you don't check in, sometimes people get shot, right? And that's how the rap stuff happens. And allegedly, this is what happens with people like XXXTentacion or Tekashi 6ix9ine, right? Like he was involved in some big hubbub like this. I don't remember all the details of that event, but have you heard this as well about the checking in and this kind of stuff? Because it shows that it's all connected to crime, right? A lot of people don't know this. Do you know about? Have you heard of this? Here's
I'm involved in this.
Here's Joe. I know you're
a high level rapper.
You're what they call a shot caller. You're what they call a shot caller, right?
No, like when I see a low level rapper and they walk into my rap scene, since I'm so high up in the rap scene, so I'll be like hanging out with all.
You're like, why didn't you check in? right? You gotta.
Yeah, I'll go up and I'll just aggressively just grab him by the crotch and just squeeze and look him right in the eyes and I'm like hiss at him. Where did you check in? And just squeeze, and then I'll let go, and then Suge Knight comes and he takes over.
Well, here's Joe Budden explaining
but
this.
Not necessarily for him.
The guy was on his side. It worked out perfect for him. Everybody else was doing it, was there to do a job.
Not this part, it's the next part.
Yes.
You'll see.
Where the baby responded with anger, others have said that extortion is not always something to stay away from, as it can make your life much easier. In Joe Budden's opinion, checking in was always a failsafe, with the rapper turned podcaster explaining that it's a necessary evil.
This is how I explain it. State taxes. Checking in is state taxes. I don't live in LA, but I've done work in LA. And at the end of the year, LA sends a note to my house that tells me how much money I owe them. That's the government. The street people that are powerful enough to control movement in their town, i.e. Big U, Trick, whoever these names are. All of y'all artists come to these cities and take, and make money all year long without giving back. So, to avoid the streets getting it from you how they want to get it from you, I'll fix all that. But there's a fee attached. That's how I view it. I didn't grow up with you. I don't know you. I don't know none of them. I don't really care about your well-being. But you're going to pay. All right, he's good for these 3 days that he's here. Yeah.
So you better check in. If you don't check in, you get the Vanilla Ice treatment where Suge Knight holds you off of a balcony.
Well, it's interesting, like also how some of these pop stars have talked about in the contracts. In these contracts, it even tells you like who you're allowed to date, and everybody remembers in the mid 2000s, early 2000s.
That's what Katt Williams said. Now everybody's saying that's crazy, but Katt Williams said that. And no, that's crazy. Don't tell you what to do. Yeah, yes, they did.
That's for sure real, man. Remember like the Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake thing? That was so fake. All that stuff was so fake back in the kind of whatever golden era of MTV when it was Carson Daly and all that lame stuff. But yeah, a lot you could tell those relationships were contrived. Those were for the public only.
I mean, the whole thing with Taylor Swift and this Travis Kelce dude, right? I mean, I think this is all just it has multiple uses, right? It's soap opera drama to boost the ratings of the NFL, which the ratings are down because they've been woke since 2016 or whatever. So they're bringing in this like live action soap opera drama of Taylor Swift and her football boyfriend, Travis Kelce or whatever his name is, right?
Yeah, no, everybody knows that's fake because Taylor Swift is my twin flame.
Tristan's milkshake brings all the Taylor to the bar, and they're like, it's better than yours, right? Right? Am I right?
That'd be mine.
I'm making jokes that are flying over everybody's bald heads, so that there's no hair up there, so the jokes just slide off even quicker.
I understand the reference, Jay. It's when you say that the joke is flying over my head, it's more like it's trickling under my feet. Like
ouch!
And it's like you feel like, oh, did I just touch something wet on the floor? And it's like you try not to, you don't want to hurt your feelings by cringing at the lame joke, but
oh, come on now, a Kelce joke. Travis Kelce, that was my joke from my stream the other night. I thought it was all right. What audience, do you like my Travis Kelce and not Kelce joke? The milkshake brings all the... Anyway. What is Vanilla Ice?
Lulls in the chat. The lulls in the chat are for you, Jay.
No.
There's hearts.
No.
It's for you.
They like it. They're saying a sick burn. Sick burn in return.
Everybody say lol in the chat so that Jay doesn't break down and verbally abuse me again.
Do you guys like my Travis Kelce joke about the milkshake brings all the Taylor? Anyway, what about Vanilla Ice though? What about Vanilla Ice
who's
though?
made his peace with extortion is none other than Vanilla Ice. Grossing more revenue than most hip-hop artists see in their entire careers, Vanilla Ice was so successful that he unwillingly went on to fund one of the biggest labels in hip-hop history. Not exactly known for his tactful business operations, Suge Knight knew that when it was time to find funding to start up Death Row Records, who better to raise funds from than one of the industry's richest industry plants who was now living it up in LA. And although...
Anyway, that's enough of that. But this gets into the history of Vanilla Ice and his relationship to Death Row Records. And Death Row Records has a long, shady history of connections to shady things. And this is where we get Dr. Dre. Of course, that was run by Suge Knight. It ties into the Freeway Ricky Ross stuff that we just talked about. Again, Potash's book goes into a lot of details about Death Row Records, but this is important because this is where gangster rap really like gets popular, right? You get NWA, you've got Eazy-E, you've got Ice Cube kind of remaking their appearance from being what Ice Cube's thing, as we said, was the CIA crew, which is odd name, but
that's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. But they were just like happy rap, you know what I mean? Like fun rap, like Jazzy Jeff type stuff, Fresh Prince.
That's what all rap was, though.
Yeah, in the 80s, it was fun stuff. Exactly.
Yeah, it was a little bit more positive. It was more, I mean, it wasn't a destructive force until the gangster rap came about. Like NWA was a kind of epochal turning point for degeneracy. And, you know, I mean, it really destroyed so many people, man. I mean, how many people are in prison because of this crap? Oh, somebody mentioned Professor Griff. I forgot about Griff. Professor Griff,
classic. He's like the granddaddy of calling all this stuff out. Professor Griff, yes.
Yeah, dude. That was like 2007 he was calling there. You know, 2009 to 10 he was talking about this stuff. Back when Flava Flav was the other member of Public Enemy that became real popular and was on a show on like network TV. What was that show called?
Well, he had a reality show where all these skanks were trying to marry him, and he was like helping them,
There's a chick named Boots. Boots was like the winner of the first season of it.
So it's like,
dude, that show
it's like so funny. It's like The Bachelor, but with Flavor Flav. All right, it's like
The Bachelor, but with this like little like shriveled, tiny, twacked out gremlin,
like this little crackhead.
Gremlin crackhead.
Like 20 hoes competing to marry a little like 5-foot crackhead.
He's like, yeah, boy. Yeah, boy.
You know what's funny though is like Lil Jon copied the shtick of Flava Flav perfectly, right? Because like Flava Flav didn't really do anything except just like shout things, right? Like he's like a random phrase he shouted.
Man, yeah.
And then Little John basically does the same thing where he just shouts a phrase. What? Yeah. What? Right. I mean, I don't even remember what phrases Flava Flav shouted, but yeah, boy. Is that it? Isn't that his thing?
He would do phrases, but he would just do like gibberish at the beginning of a track too.
Yes, like 911. What yo? What? That's 911. Get up and get down. 911 in the Jolio town. That's him.
Dude, that show was so funny though. The Flavor of Love was the show.
That's it. Exactly.
It was on like BET or TNT or something.
No, it was on E. It was on E.
Yeah.
I think it was on E.
The Flavor of Love. Everyone watched that show back in the day too. It was so funny.
All right, let me see if I can find a clip.
Dude, you gotta find like a trailer, like a clip from Flavor of Love.
Let me find a clip of.
That's so good.
Today, the degeneracy is OnlyFans, but if only today's youth could see what we had back in our millennial days of growing up.
Boomers.
Right?
No, we're boomers. And everybody who's older than 29 is a boomer. We're officially boomers.
Here's New York versus Pumpkin.
Being on the show, you fat ass fucking trend looking bitch. Better than you making shit right now. Yes, the hell I do. She's a fucking fake bitch play. Bye.
Are you rooting for New York or Pumpkin? She spit on her. That was so gross. Here's
This is when women were women. This is
exactly
before.
Why can't we get back to the time when things were wholesome? Right?
For all the Zoomers who are watching, who are, you know, recently born, this is how all women were in the mid 2000s.
Yes.
Every one of them.
I'm trying to find it like this. It's all like girls versus one of the other ones. Like so and so. Here's New York versus Rain. Who would win in this?
This is for historical context. Let's kind of contextualize this for the Zoomers. So back in 2000, in the year 2000, Flava Flav was elected president of the United States of America, and all the women in America were there was a competition. This is in the Constitution, and it hadn't been done for a while, just because there was a constitutional movement to have the first lady.
They called a constitutional convention. They checked in and called a constitutional convention.
Yes, yes. So the Constitutional Convention decided that this is how the First Lady would actually be elected, and President Flav would have a reality television show. Television was like YouTube, except I don't know, how would you describe it to Zoom? It was like YouTube, but less gay people back then.
So basically, all the same drama that you see on Twitter and YouTube, all the drama queen madness. But it was just on TV, and it was like just mainly straight people.
Yes, yes. And in the end, the First Lady ended up being chosen from among these lovely women. And this is basically how everybody talked back then. The language has changed a little bit between when before you guys were born, Zoomers, and now.
So here's another amazing clip. New York versus Rain. Remember, they're all competing to see who's going to be with Flavor Flav.
We tried to include her, and she basically just shit on us again, and I just snapped.
Woo!
I'm sick of your shit. I'm sick of your shit. I can't wait till your bitch ass get kicked out the goddamn house. Because you are so ugly. You're fucking demon. You are fucking.
So this is what this is basically Bloodsport's 2004 or 5, somewhere in there. Guys, if you would,
before you had streamer drama, you had this.
Anyway, I don't recall who won. I never actually really watched the show. I remember clicking past it when it was on, and I mean, it was just always like black girls screaming. That's like the whole show was just black girls screaming about something. I was like,
yeah, where's Flav? I want to see Flav. Just
good point. These clips are all chicks screaming at him. Let's see if you can watch the show on YouTube apparently. So there's whole episodes on there. Here we go. So
that's like almost like pay piggy level.
That's like pay piggy level stuff right there. Oh, and then there was another show, Rock of Love. What is that? People are talking about that one. What was it?
Yeah, it was that. It was this, but with a white guy.
Oh, who's the white guy? We don't know. Do you remember?
Brett, the guy from like Poison or whatever, right?
Oh yeah, the hair bands. That's right. I forgot about all that crap.
Yeah, it was like an '80s hair band guy.
Yeah. Bret Michaels.
Was it Bret Michaels?
Yeah.
What band was he in?
Rock of Love.
Rock of Love.
Dude, I forget all these stupid hair bands. I never liked hair metal, so let's see if it talks about who it is.
I was too young.
It is Bret Michaels. Yes. Poison. You're right. So this is all like groupie metal skanks trying to compete for him. Is that what this is?
Like white trashy, like
scruffles. To use the term, the technical term of Little John is scruppos. Scripples. No, with a C. Scrippa. Oh, y'all scripples. You never heard Lil Jon talking about scripples?
Scripples?
Oh, y'all scripples need to get on out of here, right? I can't believe you don't know that. Tristan, what? You must have been into...
Scripples, I mean...
You must have been into the, like, the...
SCRUPPUZ.
Oh, y'all scripples need to get on up out of here. Let's hear Lil Jon say it, right? I gotta be tactful here because it's right at the beginning of the video, and I don't want to get dinged. I want to get dinged. We are fact checking. It is Scripples, right? It's Lil Jon and the East Side Boys. I think it's this one right here. Let's see. Yeah, this is it. This is it. No, that's not it. Which video is it? Yeah, the chat will know. Maybe it's when he pulls up with Usher. That's more relevant. Oh, y'all scribbles.
What year was that? Was that like 99?
That's not it. No, this is 2000s. So, anyway, it doesn't matter. Who cares? I'm correct. Little John says, "Oh, y'all scruffles need to get on up out of here."
Oh, yes, scruffles.
Shout out to Mag since $5. The secret meaning to change rap music is listed here. Yeah, we talked about we pulled that video article up earlier from Business Insider. So thank you for that link. But Does anybody in the chat know which song it is? Where Lil Jon says, anyway, it doesn't matter. Tristan, anything that you want to leave us with? We've been going for a good hour, or 2 hours, right at 2 hours. So I think we cut
a fun one, man.
It was fun.
It's a heavy topic, actually. I mean, there's been how many people have been incarcerated, had their lives destroyed by drugs, had their lives destroyed by vice, have been financially irresponsible, right? You look at what the kind of meme that was created by rappers of just blowing all your money on cars, clothing, expensive jewelry. It's a genre that has unfortunately destroyed a lot of people. It's not just the black community it affects. Like all the white kids want to be rappers. This whole thing really did wreck a couple generations of kids. So I think the connections that you pointed out between organized crime, intelligence agencies, even drug cartels, all this stuff you can see in guys like Mac Dre, in groups like Wu-Tang Clan, in the groups like NWA. These give you a window into how the world really works, and the pop culture stuff that you're out there, that you're not just consuming pop culture, right? Pop culture consumes you. You are the freaking product.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's there to consume your soul. It's there to consume your life, and it's there to break from you into a lifestyle that's basically just self-destructive. So I think it's really obvious that pop culture is total psyop, and rap culture. I'm not saying all rap music is bad, right? I obviously listened to a lot of this stuff growing up, and there's a lot.
Well, obviously, I make some of the best rap music, so we know it's not all bad.
Yeah, the second best rapper is Jay, then obviously Lil AIDS, top rapper. You're making weird faces like you don't agree with me, but that's okay. Some
weird incorrect terminology coming out of you there. Something about that doesn't sound right, but here it is. Hey!
All y'all scrippers, y'all got to go.
All y'all scrippers, y'all got to go. That's my favorite Lil Jon line.
Perfect. Yeah, man. But thanks for having me on, dude. You guys can go over to my channel and subscribe to that one, Tristan Haggard. There's a link right there in the title. So make sure to hit up our sponsors over at Chalk. Use that coupon code that Jay's throwing up there. What's that coupon code for the Chalk?
J50.
J50.
J50 cent. Just kidding. It's not J50 cent. Yeah. So be sure and subscribe to Tristan. I got his channel linked, as he said. Also, remember, guys, to head on over to chalk.com, use promo code J50 to get 50% off all that based, amazing testosterone boosting stuff like the Tomcat 100, the Tomcat Elite. You can go on the front page and you'll see the stack that they have, the performance stack for men. Boost your testosterone with the Tomcat Elite. Boost your performance at the gym with the pre-workout, the Chad mode. Also, remember to go ahead and head on over to jaysanalysis.com, and in the shop, if you like today's discussion and you want to get deeper into that information, you get signed copies of my book, Esoteric Hollywood 1 and 2, in the shop, as well as my other works like the Red Book, 660 pages worth of geopolitical and philosophical essays. You can also get my little meta-narratives book. Also subscribe to not just Tristan, but the Lore Coffee. I think I have the Lore Coffee link in there as well to support Orthodox coffee growers. If you want to get some of that awesome Lore coffee, which you see behind me, you can do so by going to this link right there. Get some of that Lore coffee. It also supports FDA.